Okay, so the next thing that we have here is some exercises that in each of the following exercises 1 to 5 find the equation of the circle. So you have a circle, for example, the center is at 0, 2, 0, 2, and the radius is 2, and radius is equal to 2. So what that means is that basically you have x minus h plus whole squared plus y minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. So x minus h is equal to x minus 0 is equal to, then that there you would get x squared, and y minus 2 whole squared is equal to r squared, which is equal to 4. So this is the first circle that you have. So 11.1 x squared, and they have, of course, kind of basically rewritten this equation in the form x squared plus y squared plus 4 minus 2 minus 4 times y is equal to 4. And then 4 and 4 you can cancel out. You can write it as x squared plus y squared minus 4y is equal to 0. So that is, for example, the equation of that circle. And of course, one thing that I wanted to find, which would be really interesting, would be basically first to find some sort of software that would show us how those conic sections are made out of that cone. But then we will find something. When basically I will actually find some software, something on the internet or some desktop, some software or something, and we will take a look at that as well. Now suppose that, for example, your center is at negative 2, 3, and your radius is 4. So again, x minus h, which is x plus 2 whole squared minus plus y minus k, so y minus 3 whole squared is equal to r squared, which is equal to 16. So that means that x squared plus 4 plus 2x plus y squared plus 9 plus minus 6x is equal to 16. So then you can write this as x squared plus 2x plus y squared plus y squared, and this is supposed to be 6y, I'm sorry, minus 6y. So x squared plus 2x plus y squared minus 6y, and then here you have 13 minus 16 is equal to negative 3 is equal to 0. So number 2 is x squared plus y squared plus, and this is of course supposed to be 4x, because you have 2 times 2 times x is equal to 4x minus 6y minus 3 is equal to 0. I do basically make some, I am going to make some mistakes today because my mind is a little bit tired, but there is no problem with that, because as long as you can catch yourself, there is no harm in that. Now if your center is at 1/2, 1/4, and your radius is 1/12 units, So then you have x minus h, which is equal to x minus 1/2 whole squared plus y minus 1/4 whole squared is equal to basically r squared, which is 1/12 whole squared. So here you have x squared plus 1/4, which is 1/2 squared is equal to 1/4, and then you have negative 2 times 1/2 times x. So these two will be cancelled out and you have negative x. Then here you have y squared plus 1/16, and then over here you have negative 2 times 1/4 times y, and then here you have 2, here you have 1, so that's negative 1/2 y. Negative 1/2 y is equal to 1 divided by 144. And then if you basically you can write this as x squared plus y squared minus x minus 1/2 y minus 1/2 y, and then you have x squared y squared minus x minus 1/2 y, and then you have over here you have basically you have 1/4 over here plus 1/16 negative 1 over 144. So here you have basically now the LCM over here is equal to the LCM over here. Now this is a good place to basically to practice finding the LCM of these three numbers, for example. And the LCM, the least common multiple of these three numbers, is basically you know that 4 is the same thing as 2 times 2. 16 is the same thing as 2 raised to the power 4, or basically which is equal to 2 raised to the power 2. 16 is the same thing as 2 raised to the 2 raised to the power 4 is equal to 16. And 144 is the same thing as basically, you know that 144 is the same thing as 12 times 12. 12 times 12. And this is 3 times 4, and this is 3 times 4. So this is the same thing as 3 squared times 4 squared. Now the LCM of these numbers is going to be, of these numbers, basically 4 and 16 and 144 is supposed to be some number. The LCM of these numbers, is going to be some number which has basically all of these numbers inside it, but no more than those numbers. Meaning that, for example, over here you have you need a 4 in here. So basically a 4 is 2 squared, right? Then you need a 16 over here. So a 16 is 2 raised to the power 4. Since I already have a 2 raised to the power 2, I can write 2 raised to the power 2, add to this or multiply by this, and this becomes 2 raised to the power 4. Now I have a 16 over here, and I also have a 4 over here. So these two numbers are taken care of. And of course, you know that 4 raised to the power 2 is the same thing as 2 raised to the power 2 raised to the power 2, which is equal to 2 raised to the power 4. So what that means is that then basically 2 raised to the power 4 is already taken care of here. So this part is taken care of. So the only thing that you need is 3 squared. So you have 2 raised to the power 4 times 3 raised to the power 2, which is equal to 16 times 9. 16 times 9 which is equal to basically 16 times 9 is equal to 54, and 144. So 144 is the LCM of all of these numbers, meaning that 144 is divisible by all of these numbers. And just to check, 144 divided by 16 is equal to 9, and 144 divided by 4 is equal to 36. So that's basically how, for example, you would find the LCM of these numbers. Now, since you know that the LCM is 144, then what you need to do is basically just simply calculate. 144 divided by 4 is equal to 36. 144 divided by 16 is equal to 9. And 144 divided by 144 is 1. So over here you have 36 plus 9 is equal to 45. I'm sorry, 36 plus 9 is equal to 44. So that's 44 divided by 144. And you can divide by 2 and get 22, divide by 2 and get 72, divide by 2, 11, divide by 2, 35, 36, and that's basically, you cannot simplify this any further. So then this is plus 11 by 36. 11 by 36 is equal to 0. Now, once you've taken care of this part, what you can do is basically, I think the answer has been written in the form, basically, you can multiply your whole equation by 36 to get rid of this, your 36 and 2 in the denominator. So you will get 36x squared plus 36y squared minus 36x. Now 36 divided by 2 is equal to 18. 18 minus 18y plus 11 is equal to 0. And that is the equation of your line. 36x squared plus 36y squared minus 36x minus 18y plus 11 is equal to 0. Okay, so we did question number 3. Now question number 4 is the center is at 1, 1, 1, and and the radius is equal to square root of 2. So again, x minus 1 whole squared plus y minus 1 whole squared is equal to r squared, which is equal to basically the square root of 2 squared is equal to 2. And you have x squared plus 1 minus 2x plus y squared plus 1 minus 2y is equal to 2, and 2, and these two ones you can cancel out. So you can write x squared plus y squared minus 2x minus 2y is equal to 0. That is number 4. X squared plus 2 squared, that is number 4. And number 5 is, let's suppose that, for example, your center is at negative a comma negative b, and the radius is, and your radius is equal to square root of a squared minus b squared. So then you have x minus h, which is x plus a plus whole squared, y plus b whole squared is equal to r squared, which is basically a squared minus b squared. Now this is x squared plus a squared plus 2 times ax plus y squared plus b squared plus 2 times by is equal to a squared minus b squared. Now a squared and a squared you can cancel out. Take this to the other side, you will get x squared plus y squared. So these two are I have taken care of. Now I have plus 2 times ax plus 2 times by plus b squared is equal to 0, which is the equation of the line. Number 5 is x squared plus y squared plus 2 times ax plus 2 times by plus y plus 2 times, actually this is 2 times b squared because this comes to the other side and becomes 2 times b squared. So that is the equation of this line. Question number 6 is in each of the following exercises 6 to 9, find the center and the radius of the circle. So for example, let's say that you have the equation of the circle x plus 5 whole squared plus y minus 3 whole squared is equal to 36. So the equation of a circle is x minus h whole squared plus y minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. So that means that if you compare these two equations, you'll get h is equal to negative 5, k is equal to positive 3, and r is equal to square root of 36, which is basically 6. So your center would be negative 5 comma 3. This would be your center, and your r would be 6 over here. So number 6 is negative 5 comma 3 and r is equal to 6. Number 7, suppose that you have, for example, this equation x squared plus y squared minus 4x minus 8y minus 45 is equal to 0. So basically you want to write your equation in this form so you can basically compare and find out what your h and k basically are. So I write this as x squared minus 4x and plus y squared minus 8y minus 45 is equal to 0. And then I can write this as x squared minus 2 times x, and since basically I'm basically writing this equation based on a squared minus 2ab plus b squared is equal to a minus b whole squared. So if I can write this equation, basically if I can get this equation to look like this, if I can get this expression to look like this expression, then I can write it as a minus b whole squared. So then I can write it as x squared, which is, for example, a squared minus 2 times ab. So minus 2 times a, which is x, times b, which is which has to be a 2, because then the product of all of these has to be a negative 4x. That's basically why I do this. And then since my b is 2 over here, then I have to write plus b squared, which is plus 2 squared, which is equal to 4. So now I have added this 4, I have to take it out as well. I have to subtract it because I don't want to change the value of this equation. So I write a negative 4 over here, right? So that's basically the first part. And then over here, again, the same thing. I write this as y squared minus 2 times y times 4. And so that means that my b here is 4. So I write basically 4 squared, which is equal to 16. and since I have added this 16, I have to subtract it. So I have a negative 16 and I have a negative 4 over here. And I have a negative 45 over here, and that's basically my whole equation. Now I can write this as x minus 4, x minus 2, x minus 2, because I'm saying x minus 2 because this 4 is actually 2 squared. This 2 squared, or this 16 over here is basically, this 16 is 4 squared, right? Is 4 squared. So I can write this as x minus 2 whole squared plus y minus 4 whole squared. And then over here I have negative 45, negative 16, negative 4. So what is 45 plus 16 plus 4? That's 20, that's 65. So that's negative 65. And that is equal to 0. So since that is the case, now what we wanted to do, we wanted to find the center and the radius. So now if I write this as x minus 2 whole squared plus y minus 4 whole squared is equal to 65. So this is of course r squared according to this formula. So then I can say that my h comma k here, if you compare these two equations, your h comma k becomes basically positive 2 and positive 4, the algebraic opposite of these numbers over here, because here you have negative h and negative k, meaning that negative h is equal to negative 2. So h is equal to 2, and negative k is equal to negative 4. That means that k is equal to positive 4. So your h and k, which is your center, is 2 comma 4. And your radius is, since this is r squared, your radius becomes the square root of 65. And that's basically question number, for example, 7. 2 comma 4 and square root of 65. Now question number 8. Question number 8 is x squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 10y minus 12 is equal to 0. Again, the same story, meaning that you can put your x's together, x squared minus 8x, and put your y's together, y squared plus 10y minus 12 is equal to 0. And then this you can write as x squared minus 2 times x times 4, for example, plus 4 squared. So this is the first part. Now since I have added the 4 squared, I have to subtract a 4 squared, which is 16 here. Then I have y squared plus 2 times plus 2 times, and I'm writing plus 2 because you know a squared plus b squared plus 2 times ab is equal to a plus b whole squared, and a squared plus b squared minus 2ab is equal to a minus b whole squared. So since I can see that I have basically this term over here, which is a plus 10y, this is this term over here, which is 2 times a times b. So since we have a positive sign over here, then then I will use this formula, and so basically based on this formula over here, I have to write plus 2 times a times b. Of course you can use, for example, this formula as well, and then change your numbers a little bit, but that's not really necessary here. So y squared plus 2 times y, for example, times 5. And so since now 5 is your b, you have to write a b squared over here as well to have a perfect square. So your b squared would be 5 squared. And now since I have added this 5 squared, I have to subtract it as well. So negative 25 minus 12 is equal to 0. And so, of course, I have to write this over here. I have to write negative 12, negative 25, negative 16 is equal to 0. And now we have taken care of everything. So now I can write this as x minus 4 whole squared plus y plus 5 whole squared. And over here I have, well, 12 plus 16 is 28. 28 plus 25 is equal to 53. Negative 53 is equal to 0. So then you can write this as x minus 4 whole squared plus y plus 5 whole squared is equal to 53. That means that your h comma k is equal to basically positive 4 negative 5, and your r is equal to the square root of 53. So that's number 8. 4 comma negative 5 and square root of 53, for example. The next question is question number 9. We have 2x squared plus 2y squared minus x is equal to 0. So I put these two x's together, meaning that I write this over here as 2 times x squared minus x, and plus 2 times y squared is equal to 0. So now this is, in order to get the perfect squares over here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to divide this whole equation by 2, meaning that I write x squared minus 1/2 x plus y squared is equal to 0. And then I can write this part I can write it as x squared minus 2 times x times, basically you have to multiply 2 by something to get 1/2. So multiply 2 by something to get 1/2. So x is equal to 1/2 over divided by 2, which is equal to 1/2 times the reciprocal of 2, which is equal to 1/4. So I write over here 1/4. So 2 times negative 2 times x times 1/4 is going to be equal to negative 1/2 x. And since I have my b over here is 1/2, since my b over here is 1/2, I have to add it over here 1/4 whole squared. And since I've added this over here, I'm going to subtract it. So negative 1/4 whole squared. I'm going to subtract it in the end. So this is about the first part. Now the second part is, for example, you can write y squared as for example y squared plus, for example, 2 times y times this one over here, I can, for example, I can write 2 times y times 1, for example, that I can do, and then add a 1 squared over here, but then I have to subtract the 2y and subtract the 1 over here as well. Okay, and then these will take care of the basically the rest of the parts. Let's see what we get over here. So let's say that over here you have now 1/4 squared is equal to 1/16. So this is 1/16. I have to subtract 1/16. I have to subtract the 2y, and I have to subtract a 1. So now 1/16 plus 1 is equal to basically 1/16 plus 16 is equal to 17/16. So I have to subtract a 17/16 here, and also subtract a negative 2y. So I have to write this at the end of this thing over here. Negative 17/16 minus 2y is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. So now let's see if we can actually get anywhere with this. Now, I can write this as x minus 1/4 whole squared plus y plus 1 whole squared is equal to, well, I can write this as basically 2y plus 17/16. Which is, well, not a good idea really, because I have a 2y over here. But basically the other thing, there is something else that I can do to get rid of this 2y over here. And that is, if you have, for example, y squared, I can write this as y squared plus 2 times, for example, 1 by 2 times a times b, right? So basically the formula is basically a squared plus b squared plus 2 times ab. So what I can do is that I can write y squared and plus 2 times ab. I can write it as plus 2 times y. I have to write this over here because my a is y here, and I can take my b as 1 by y. 1 by y. Probably that would work out. So you can see that now 2 and 1/2 will cancel out. 1 and 1 by y will cancel out. And then I have to write over here this whole thing whole squared. So 1 divided by 2y whole squared. And since I have written this way, I have to subtract this in the end as well, meaning that I have to write 1 over basically 2y whole squared, and that gives me, again, I will get a y in the denominator. I get a y squared in the denominator. So let me take a look at the solution here. This is actually a good example. Take a solution here. Okay, so now they have actually solved this problem in a basically interesting way. And so the equation is basically this thing over here, right? So I'm going to, well, first of all, erase all of this. And so what you can do is, again, you can divide this equation by 2, meaning that you can write, for example, you can write x squared minus 1 half x plus y squared is equal to 0. And what you can do, here is that first rewrite this first part over here, which is basically you can write it as x squared minus 2 times basically 2 times x times 1/4 and that gives you negative 1 half x plus 1/4 squared plus 1/4 squared. And since I have added this 1/4 squared, I have to subtract it. So I have to write in the end negative 1/16. So this is basically the first part. And then over here I have a y squared, and then negative 1/16 is equal to 0. So now that you have written your equation this way, you can write this part as x minus 1/4 whole squared. This is the first part. And then you can take this to the other side of the equation, write it as 1/16. And then this y squared, you can write it as y, for example, plus 0 whole squared, and add it to this. So now you have the equation of a circle. So your h comma k is equal to basically positive 1/4 comma 0, and your radius is equal to the square root of 1/16, which is equal to 1/4. That is your solution here. So 1/4 comma 0, and the radius is 1/4. That's actually an interesting way to solve the problem. And the next question that we have is question number 10. Question number 10. 269. Okay, find the equation of the circle passing through the points 4, 1, and 6, 5, and the center is on the line, and the center lies on the line 4x plus y is equal to 16. This is the type of question that we solved in the previous video. So, okay, so if we assume that the general form of the equation of a circle is x minus h, for example, whole squared plus y minus k whole squared is equal to r squared, then if these two points are on the circle, that means that you can write, for example, if 4, 1 is on the circle, you can write, for example, 4 minus h whole squared plus 1 minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. And if this point is on the circle 2, 6, 5, then you can write 6 minus h whole squared plus 5 minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. If I call this, for example, equation number 1 and 2, then, and of course I know that the center of the circle lies on this line, that basically h comma k lies on lies on 4x plus y is equal to 16. So therefore I can write 4 times h plus k is equal to 16. Call this equation number 3, for example. Now, since both of these these left-hand sides are equal to r squared, I can write from 1 and 2. Basically, I can conclude that 1 and 2, I can conclude that 4 minus h whole squared plus 1 minus k whole squared is equal to 6 minus h whole squared plus 5 minus k whole squared. And so that means that 4 squared is equal to 6. 4 times 4 is equal to 16 plus h squared minus 2 times, that's 8h, plus 1 squared is equal to 1 plus k squared minus 2k. Minus 2k is equal to 36. It's equal to 36 plus h squared minus 12h plus 25 plus k squared minus 10 times k. So then I can simplify k squared, h squared, and I have negative 8h. And over here I have negative 12h becomes plus 12h. And then I have negative 2k, and positive 10k. And then over here I have 16 plus 1, which is equal to 17 here. I have 17 here. And then over here I have 36 plus 25, which is equal to 50, 61, negative 61. So 61 minus 17 is equal to what? Is equal to 5, 11, and that is 4, that's negative 44. 44 is equal to 0. So now all of these are taken care of. So there is nothing left in here. So then I can simplify this and write this as negative 8h plus 12h is equal to positive 4h. 10 minus 2 is equal to plus 8k minus 44 is equal to 0. Over here we said that 4h plus k is equal to 16. So over here we said that 4h plus k is equal to 16, number 3. So that means that k is equal to negative 4h plus 16. So now if I call this equation number 4, then basically 4, 3, and 4 gives basically I can substitute k in this equation, meaning that I can write 4h plus 8 times k, which is negative 4h plus 16 minus 44 is equal to 0. So 4h minus 32 times h, 8 times 16 is equal to 16 times 8 is equal to 48, 4, and 128 plus 128 minus 44 is equal to 0. Negative 32 plus 4 is equal to negative 28 times h. 128 minus 44 is equal to 4 and 84. So that's plus 84 is equal to 0. Negative 28h is equal to negative 84. These two you can cancel out. And so h is equal to 84 by 28. 84 by 28 is equal to divide by 2. You get 42, divide by 2, 14, divide by 2, 22, 21 divided by 2, 7, and that's a 3, which is equal to 3. So your h is equal to 3. Now I can use the equation that had, I can use this equation number 4. I can use this equation number 4 and write basically 4h, 4 times 3 plus 8k minus 44 is equal to 0. Now that is equal to 12 plus 8k minus 44 is equal to 0. 8k negative 44 plus 12 is equal to negative 32. Negative 32 is equal to 0. So that means that 8k is equal to 32. And that means that k is equal to 32 divided by 4, which is equal to 4. Your k is equal to 4. And we can use one of these equations over here. For example, this one, equation number 1. Equation number 1, I just make a screenshot because I can see it down there. So now equation number 1 gives 4 minus h whole squared plus 1 minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. So now your h is equal to 3, so 4 minus 3 whole squared plus 1 minus 4 whole squared is equal to r squared. That is 1 squared plus negative 3 squared is equal to r squared. 1 plus 9 is equal to r squared. That means that r squared is equal to 10. And that means that the well, r squared is equal to 10 is basically good enough for what we want to do, because in our equation we need r squared and not r. So now I know that my h is equal to 3, my k is equal to 4, and my r squared is equal to 10. The equation of a circle is x minus h whole squared plus y minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. So I can write x minus h, x minus 3 whole squared plus y minus 4 whole squared is equal to 10. And that is the equation of your line. So that is question number 10. That is question number 10. But of course they've written that in 11.1, number 10. Okay, so we can expand this, of course. We can expand this, we can write it as x squared plus 9 minus 6 times x plus y squared plus 16 minus 8 times y is equal to 10. And take this 10 to the other side, so x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 8y, and then over here I have 9 plus 16, which is equal to 25. 25 minus 10 is equal to 15, so that's plus 15 is equal to 0. Number 10 is, so that is x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 8y plus 15 is equal to 0. That is another form of the same equation, basically written this way. Okay, so question number 11. We will do this question as well, and then I suppose we will end this video, or I don't know, but let's do one more question. You have find the equation of the circle passing through these two points and and the center basically lies on this line. Well, this is again the same question. There is really no point in doing that. Find the equation of the circle with radius 5, whose center lies on x-axis and passes through the point 2, 3. So let's do another question. Question number 12. It says find the equation of the circle with radius 5, r is equal to 5 units. The center lies on the x-axis. Center lies on the x-axis and passes through the point 2, 3. Okay, so basically if the circle passes through this point, so basically you know that x minus h whole squared plus y minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. If the circle passes through this point 2, 3, I can write 2 minus h whole squared plus 3 minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. And since r is equal to 5, and basically r is equal to 5, so then r squared is equal to 25. So I can write over here 25. So I call this equation number 1. And basically the center lies on the x-axis. If the center lies on the x-axis, so then basically the equation of the x-axis, is basically well, this is the x-axis and the equation is y is equal to 0. The x-axis is basically y is equal to 0. Y is equal to 0. So what that means is that basically if you have the center as h comma k, there is this relationship between h and k, which means that basically your y is equal to 0. That means that you have your k is equal to 0. It means that your center is h comma 0. This is your center, somewhere on the x-axis. Now if your k is equal to 0, and that basically means that your k is equal to 0. So if your k is equal to 0, I can use this equation over here. I can write it as 2 minus h whole squared plus, if k is equal to 0, I can write 3 squared is equal to 25. So 2 minus h whole squared plus 9 is equal to 25. And so that is 4 plus h squared minus 4h plus 9 minus 25 is equal to 0. So h squared minus 4h. And over here you have 13 minus 25, which is equal to negative 12, is equal to 0. And 12 is equal to, well, 6 times 2. So I can take these two numbers 6 and 2, and negative 6 plus 2, negative 6 times 2 is equal to negative 12, and negative 6 plus 2 is equal to negative 4. So I can write this as h squared minus 6h plus 2h minus 12 is equal to 0. And so I can write basically h times h minus 6 plus 2 times h minus 6 is equal to 0, or h plus 2 times h minus 6 is equal to 0. That means that either h plus 2 is equal to 0 or h minus 6 is equal to 0. That means that either h is equal to negative 2 or h is equal to positive 6. So these are two possible answers for h. Now, I know that my k is equal to 0 and my r is equal to 5, and my r is equal to 5. Now the equation of the circle, if h is equal to negative 2 and k is equal to 0 and r is equal to 5, then the equation of the circle becomes x minus h whole squared plus y minus k whole squared is equal to r squared. So that means that x plus 2 whole squared plus y squared is equal to 25. And if you want to simplify this, we write it as x squared plus 4x plus y squared is equal to 25, or x squared plus y squared plus 4x negative 25 plus 4 is equal to negative 21 is equal to 0. That is one possible equation for this circle. And then if your h is equal to 6 and if your k is equal to 0 and r is equal to 5, based on the same equation you can write x minus 6 whole squared plus y minus 0 whole squared is equal to 25, which is x squared plus 36 minus 12x plus y squared is equal to 25, which is x squared plus y squared minus y squared minus 12x, and 36 minus 25 is equal to 11. Plus 11 is equal to 0. That is another possible equation for this circle. So number 12 is either x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 21 is equal to 0, and x squared plus y squared minus 12x plus 11 is equal to 0. Both are correct answers. Okay, good.